You have, you haven't, you have, you haven't, you have got HIV.
Aid Goodyear remembers that moment like it was yesterday. Aid was just a schoolboy when he was told he had been infected with HIV from contaminated blood products used as part of his treatment for haemophilia.
Mike, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being on tonight.
Thanks for the invitation, Joe.
Okay, let's talk about the rat of the week. Why is Bayer Corporation the rat of the week?
Internal documents show that after this company positively, absolutely knew that they had a medication that was infected with the AIDS virus, they took the product off the market in the U.S. and then they dumped it in France, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. The medicine's called Factor VIII. It was an injection medicine that was used for hemophiliacs, mostly children. Children had been born with an incurable disease.
Hold on, Mike. So, hold on. So you're telling me that Bayer knew that this drug was infected with the AIDS virus, they yanked it from the market in America, and then they dumped it in markets overseas?
They had to figure out a way, Joe, to make a profit on a product that they could not sell in America. So they made a huge profit. They dropped the product in Japan, Spain, and France. By the way, Joe, government officials in France that allowed that to happen actually had to go to prison for it. In America, not one corporate executive for this company has been indicted or even criminally investigated by our Justice Department.
Boney Cola.
What if I told you a life-saving medical treatment turned into a global health crisis? In the 1980s, thousands of hemophiliacs unknowingly received blood-clotting products contaminated with HIV. Families were devastated, lives were lost, and the world was left to grapple with one of the most shocking medical scandals of all time. At the center of this tragedy was Bayer's Cutter Laboratories, a pharmaceutical giant accused of putting profits over human lives. The result? A global epidemic that changed modern healthcare forever. In today's video, we'll uncover how this scandal unfolded, the consequences for those affected, and the lessons the medical world learned in its aftermath. Blood-clotting products like Factor VIII and IX were revolutionary in the 1980s, especially for individuals with haemophilia, a rare genetic disorder where the blood doesn't clot properly. These treatments allowed hemophiliacs to live relatively normal lives, but there was a hidden danger lurking beneath the surface. At the time, these products were made by pooling plasma from thousands of donors. Without advanced screening processes, diseases like HIV and hepatitis could easily contaminate the supply. By the early 1980s, the HIV/AIDS epidemic was gaining traction, but proper safeguards to prevent contamination were still in their infancy. Cutter Laboratories, a division of Bayer, had developed a heat treatment process to inactivate HIV in their products. However, instead of immediately replacing non-treated products worldwide, they continued to sell them in markets like Asia and Latin America, markets they deemed less profitable. This decision would become the catalyst for one of the most devastating medical scandals in history. By the early 1980s, the dangers of contaminated blood products became undeniable. Thousands of hemophiliacs were falling ill, but the connection to HIV-infected plasma wasn't immediately clear. As scientists began identifying HIV as the cause of AIDS, heat treatment processes capable of killing the virus were introduced. These methods were a breakthrough that could have prevented countless infections. But instead of removing non-heat-treated products from circulation globally, Bayer's Cutter Laboratories made a shocking decision. While they withdrew unsafe products in the United States, they continued selling them abroad in markets like Asia, Latin America, and parts of Europe. Many of these countries lacked strong regulatory systems, making it easier for Cutter to offload their outdated and dangerous inventory. The result was catastrophic. Thousands of hemophiliacs contracted HIV through these contaminated products, leading to widespread outbreaks of AIDS within vulnerable communities. Families were devastated as the very treatment meant to save lives became a death sentence. Cutter Laboratories defended their actions, claiming that non-heat-treated products were still in demand and denying wrongdoing. But internal documents later revealed the company's focus on profits, showing they knowingly prioritized financial gain over human lives. As the scale of the crisis became clear, lawsuits began piling up against Bayer and other pharmaceutical companies involved. Hemophiliacs and their families accused these corporations of negligence, knowingly distributing contaminated products and failing to act responsibly when the risks were evident. One of the most damning pieces of evidence came from internal Qatar Laboratories memos. These documents revealed that the company was aware of the contamination risks but chose to continue selling the outdated products to less regulated markets. This sparked outrage worldwide, turning the scandal into a symbol of corporate greed and disregard for human life. Despite legal settlements totaling millions of dollars, the damage to public trust was irreversible. The scandal highlighted deep flaws in the pharmaceutical industry and raised questions about accountability, regulation, and ethics in healthcare. For the victims and their families, however, no amount of compensation could undo the pain and suffering caused by this preventable tragedy. The contaminated blood products scandal of the 1980s was a wake-up call for the medical world. In its aftermath, stricter regulations were introduced to prevent similar disasters. Blood donation processes were overhauled, with rigorous testing and screening becoming the new standard. Advanced heat treatment methods were adopted universally, ensuring that life-saving treatments would no longer carry hidden dangers. But the lessons go beyond technical improvements. The scandal serves as a stark reminder of what can happen when profits are prioritized over people. It's a cautionary tale about the importance of accountability, transparency, and ethical decision-making in healthcare. For the victims, the damage was irreversible, but their stories sparked change. Change that has likely saved millions of lives since. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Together we can ensure that history's mistakes are never forgotten.